here. Good. Good. That's the one thing I can do.
Welcome to Mrs. Vandenbrink's third grade classroom. We're so excited to invite all of our grandparents to visit the third grade classroom. This year, our theme is Heroes of the Faith. We studied Joshua in February. The third graders would love to have you hear the verse of the month. Third graders, would you stand up, please? Thank you, third grade. Excellent job.
My grandma and I like to bake. My grandma and I are scared of snakes. My grandpa and I walked to the waterfall and we saw a beaver going into his home. By Jada. With grandma and grandpa I don't cheat. I ride bike with grandma and grandma I ride bike. With grandma and grandma I glide my kite. With grandma and grandma I eat peanuts. With grandma and grandpa I eat donuts. By Carton.
My grandpa and I like to watch football. We've been doing it since I was 2 feet tall. My grandparents and I like to go to the lake. My grandparents and I like to eat steak. By Deacon.
My grandparents and I like to play. My grandparents and I like to pray. My grandparents and I like to cook. My grandparents and I like to read books. By Svea.
My grandma and I like drawing. She watches me and my brother grow. My grandparents live far away. I'll see them on summer break. When I go, maybe my grandma will make a cheesy cake. Bye, Caleb.
My grandma and I baked a cake. My grandma and I like to bake. My grandma and I baked a cake. The cake was yummy, it filled my tummy. Grandpa and I like to talk. Grandpa and I went on a walk. But what I love most of all about my grandparents today is that they love me so in their very special way. Bye, Addison.
My grandma and I make grilled cheese. My grandma and I look at trees. My grandma and I pet mutts. My grandma and I eat donuts. By Kelvin.
My grandma and I like to eat root beer floats. My grandma and me like me writing notes. My grandpa and I like to joke. My grandma does not let my grandpa smoke. By Taya. I forgot.
My grandpa and I like to play ball. My grandpa and I like to call. My grandma and I like to do puzzles. I also like to be helpful and buy her puzzles. By Christian.
My grandma and I like swimming in a pool. My grandma and I sitting by a stool. My grandpa and I go walking to the park. My grandpa and I watching a dog bark. By Red.
Grandpa Mimi and I go on a treasure hunt.
With Grandpa, Mimi, and I, nothing could be blunt. Opa, Oma, and I have fun cheerfully. Opa, Oma, and I fun happily. By Audrey. With my grandparents, I like to go on walks. With my grandparents, I like to have talks. We also like to catch fish off of ducks. By Olivia. My grandparents and I like to eat. My grandparents and I get a sweet treat. My grandparents and I like to go outside and play. We could play all day. By Garrett. My grandma and I go to the park. My grandma and I play Mr. Shark. My grandma and I like to bake. My grandma and I catch a snake. By Bryn. My grandma and I bake a cake. My grandpa and I swim in the lake. My grandma and I go to the store. My grandpa and I shut the door. By Easton. My grandma and I love to bake. My grandma and I also love to go shopping somewhere near a lake. My grandpa and I have this in common. We both don't like to be solemn. My grandparents and I take a walk. My grandparents and I love to talk. By Seafood. My grandma and I like to do puzzles. My grandma and I like to nuzzle. My Jeepa and I like the color red. My Jeepa and I like the combine head. My Opa and I like dogs. My Opa and I don't like hogs. By Abby.
My grandpa and I like to walk. My grandpa and I like to talk. My grandma and I like to play games. My grandma and I maybe have some good aims. By Caleb.
My grandma and I like camping. My grandma and I are pros at napping. My grandpa and I like to play games. My grandpa and I like to sit by the flames. By Lizzie. My grandparents and I go to the lake. My grandpa and I ride the lake. My grandparents and I love a game. My grandparents' cat is halfway tame. By Eliana. My papa and I like to take hikes. We ride around town on our bikes. My nana and I like to take walks. We draw on the sidewalk with chalk. By Sutton.